Welcome back to another episode of Buckeye Revival, presented by the Walk Foundation podcast. We'd first like to thank our sponsors who make this possible, Rock City Church, Emily Tapman with the Firm Foundation Company, and Jeremy Fraze with Union Home Mortgage. Today, we have a very special guest, but first I want to introduce him for you, give you guys a little background. So he's a senior offensive tackle here at Ohio State. He's from Katy, Texas, where he went to high school at Cinco Ranch High School. He spent his first 3 seasons at Rice University before transferring to Ohio State. He's got 3 siblings, and he's here in the studio today on Buckeye Revival. I'd love to welcome Ethan Onianwa. Welcome to the show, Ethan.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's such a pleasure having you on here, and I'm just super thankful for your yes to want to be on here and just share your story, and super excited to dive into that. So you were born in Flint, Michigan, and then you moved. Where did you move?
So I moved to Nigeria. I was born in Flint, Michigan. I stayed there for like less than a year. And my mom, she moved back to Port Harcourt in Nigeria, and that's kind of like where I stayed. Like we'll go like to and from like the U.S. And then but, like I really just kind of stayed there up until like I turned like 7, and then we moved to Houston, and everything from there.
Yeah, so when you spend 6 years or so living in Nigeria, what's that lifestyle like?
It's similar but also different, like kind of like Houston, like there isn't any snow. It's always hot, always humid. So really Houston's like actually like probably the most identical place to Nigeria in that aspect. Like it's still pretty nice there too. Like lots of great people, and then also like one thing is also like the faith too. Like there's so many churches there, like, and then like there's just so much. God is like really working in Nigeria for sure. Like there's so many like people of God in Nigeria. Like people like willing to pray for you. People are just a lot of good people for sure. But it's different for sure compared to the U.S. But,
that's great.
Yeah.
So you went from Nigeria and you moved to Texas, and that's kind of where you really grew up. What's it like kind of living in Texas and being raised there?
It was different at first. I wasn't really used to the food. But like it was pretty good because like I also have family here too. So it was actually nice to get to like bond with them like now that we're here. But like it was just like kind of like a shock at first, but I just kind of came to like actually like appreciate just being here and just being grateful for the whole opportunity, because there's just so many more opportunities here to do things. Like I get to play football at like the greatest college football team in the nation and everything, and like I'm just grateful for everything and like what my parents did to make it possible for me and my siblings.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned that in Nigeria there was definitely a Christian culture there, and then you moved to the Bible Belt, and that's in America that's the spot for Christianity. What was your relationship with Christianity as a kid, maybe within your family or just with the people around you?
So it was always strong. Like I have a grandma who's always praying for us. Like we always like pray together at our house, like every night and every morning, which was really, really good for me and for my siblings. Just like kind of like introducing us to God and like just showing us like how He's there, and I'm just grateful for that. But so like my dad, he was Catholic, so like we went to like a Catholic church, and my mom was like more so non-denominational. So I would go to like whether like it was like a African non-denominational church with like a lot of like dancing and singing and everything, or like I would go to like a Catholic church with my dad, and that could just kind of like show me like those 2 different sides of the faith and just like how God works differently with different people, and that was really cool to see, and I'm really grateful for just like be able to have that, and that just kind of helped like develop like how I see God in my life and how He works through me.
It's so cool how God will just show up for each person individually, and He'll meet people where they're at, right?
Exactly.
And it's so cool that we can all worship the Lord and in different ways, right? And so
Yeah.
for some of us, that's, going up and, it's dancing and it's, and then for us others, it's, maybe a little bit more of a traditional route, and that's totally okay.
Right.
Which is super cool. And okay, so you, it sounds like, so you had a family that really just helped inspire you in the faith. And
Yeah.
that's super cool too, to hear that like your grandmother was like praying for you, like consistently. And like, what does that mean to you now, even looking back on it? Like, wow, like it's so amazing to have people that have been praying for you for years.
It's honestly just so amazing to have. Because actually, I was talking with her last night. She was actually praying for me too, and like praying for this podcast and everything. And like it's just so amazing to have people in your lives that like like are praying for you, like they're gonna be there for you, supporting you, and like with every big thing that happens in my life, whether it was like me entering the portal or like back when I was like a senior in high school, like just finding out like what school I want to go to, like just so like you can just really put it all to God and put it in His hands, and like He'll guide you and He'll put you on the best path.
Yeah. And so, kind of growing up,
Mm-hmm.
there's some, you were playing football.
Yeah.
I do want to know kind of how did that start? And was football something you started from a really young age? Was it something you picked up a little bit later? I'm curious kind of your football story getting started.
So I kind of played it like when I was younger. My mom, like, she never liked the fact of me playing football. She always thought it was too violent. But like when you're 8 and like you're so much bigger than everyone else, like at some point, like all the coaches that like will stop us at like the supermarkets, and all like my uncles like finally convinced her to let me play. And I've been kind of like playing ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's definitely a big advantage, right? Having the size advantage. And I'm sure from the jump you knew that being on the line would probably be the place for you, at least in some ways. When did you know, when you were playing in high school, that like college football would be something that was on your radar for playing at the next level?
Honestly, probably not even until like the end of like my junior year, because I was always kind of like academic focused. Like that's kind of how like, my parents brought me up, because I mean football is like not big in Nigeria. Like no one goes to school with like an athletic scholarship. So like I was always like more academic focused. I was gonna go to school, get like an engineering degree, and then work a 9 to 5. But after like my junior year, and I started getting like some calls and offers, I was like, man, I could really like make something out of this. Like I can really like take that financial burden off of my parents for paying for the school, and have the opportunity to get a great education, and I get to play a sport that I love to play. And that kind of like ended up leading me to play football at Rice, which is not too far away from where I grew up in Houston.
Was that a hard decision, or was it like, I know 100% like from the jump that Rice is where you wanted to be? Because it sounds like, I mean, that's in Houston. That's like awesome that you were able to stay close to home.
No, it was hard and also easy at the same time, because I was getting recruited during COVID, so I only really got to go on like a couple visits before like they shut everything down. And like you're getting all these like calls from different schools, but you can't actually see them in person. You can't really talk to the team and the coaches and everything. Like everything's just on the phone, virtual. Like I remember like they'll have like the virtual tours, which is just like a Zoom call, and like it's just not the same. But like with Rice, like it was different, because I mean I was close, and I also had a teammate who like actually went to high school with me, who went to Rice. And like when he was getting recruited, he would always like bring me along with them, and like he's a great guy, and I'm just grateful for that, because like if I didn't have the opportunity, it would have been so much harder to make that decision. But because of just like already kind of like knowing some of the guys there at Rice, like already having like a teammate that's now there at Rice and everything, it just kind of made sense. And also like the academic part too, because I wanted to go into bioengineering, and Rice has an incredible bioengineering program, so it just kind of all worked out.
Yeah, man, that's great. And
Yeah.
one thing that comes with college is getting adjusted to that, and it's definitely a new scene. What was that process like for you, or just getting adjusted to college, and maybe even just where were you at in your faith walk throughout college as you were getting used to that?
So honestly, I felt like my freshman year, I kind of like took a step back, just because, like now, like I don't see my parents every day. Like I don't see my grandma every day. So that most definitely took a step back. But also, I also felt like it also kind of helped me make it something of my own, where like I'm not like my mom isn't like telling me like how I pray today, or like she's not calling me to pray. Like it's something that I have to do. I have to read the Bible like on my own. And it was hard at first, where like balancing like both school and football, because whenever like I get stressed, like I try to like take it all on myself. I'm like, oh, like I just have to do this right. I have to do this right. And like whenever I don't do well, then just like a personal hit on like myself as like an individual. But I remember going to like a Bible study with like one of the captains of the team, and he was just talking about how like, like you just have to put up to God. Like it's not by your own strength and will, but it's by Him. And that really just helped me be kind of like take the pressure off myself, because like I always try to be perfect, but like at the same time we're still human. Like we still make mistakes, and all we can do is just like put it up to God, put whatever challenges and whatever like our goals are up to Him, and He'll direct us and He'll guide us in His direction and will for us. And that really kind of helped me. And like after that, like school like turned out better, and then like I started playing better just because I didn't have all this pressure of just like, oh, like if I don't do well as a student, if I don't do well as an athlete, then I'm not good enough for, like my value kind of like diminishes.
That's so good. And I was just thinking, like, I'd love to kind of hear you expand on this, because I think there's a lot of people who might be listening to this, or they might be a high school athlete. They might be somebody who is just pursuing, they want to be successful, right? They want to do well at whatever they do. But they can feel that weight, that like heavy weight of, I want to do this well. I want to do a good job, but I feel like it's all on me. What encouragement would you give somebody in that department with maybe how, just for you, how has it changed things for you, being able to put that on Christ, knowing that He's working through you, and He's giving you the strength rather than yourself?
So a verse that I always think of is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. And that kind of like really, it constantly reminds me that it's not by me, it's not about my own will, it's by God's will. And just like how like we see like the disciples and Paul and like the Bible, like they're not talking based off like their own intellect, but like they're letting God speak and work through them. And I feel like that's always like the biggest thing to remember. That's not just like all on you. Like you have a Father in heaven who loves you and is supporting you, and He has a plan for you. And I feel like that really helps me, and that kind of like reassures me that like, oh, like it's not going to be over if I do bad on like a test, or if I miss a block. That God's still gonna love me, that like I'm still a child of His, and that like, yeah, like I mean, we do want to be great, we do want to be better, but like we have a Father in heaven that's helping us be better and still loves us regardless of the outcome.
How do you know that you're on God's plan for your life?
I just have trust in Him, because I mean I put everything to prayer. Like this whole decision of me coming here was by prayer. I mean because honestly I had no plans of like really like leaving like my old school, and then everything just kind of all happened all at once, and then like I just put it up to prayer. And like kind of like what I was talking about like before the podcast, about just like seeing like the fall kickoff last year. Then whenever I came up here, I just felt something different compared to the other places I was talking to and like looking at. And like I just kind of felt like a concept to come here, that like this team and the people here are just like, they walk different, they talk different, and like their connection is so much deeper compared to like a lot of places that I've been to. And yeah, like I just have my trust in that this is His plan for me.
Yeah. And how have you, now being here in Columbus and being on the high state football team, how has it been so far?
It's been awesome. Like the people here are great. Fall kickoff was really awesome. Like it's just so, I've never seen so many people in like one place all at once, and like it's run by people the same age as me, like other like college kids, and like it's just crazy. And like it just shows like how strong the faith is up here, and it's really cool. Like I mean, especially like coming from like the South, where like like there are a lot of people who like are strong in their faith. Like there are a lot of mega churches and stuff. But like it's really cool to just see like a bunch of other college people just coming together praising God, you know.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about what's going on here in Columbus and the faith movement on campus is that you don't see that. You don't see kids on campus getting together to hear about Jesus in the middle of campus. That's just it's not something that typically happens. And just for context for people that there was the fall kickoff event that was just a couple weeks ago, and you guys decided to put on an event on campus to share about your faith. And there were probably a couple thousand people there. Your fellow classmates. I do want to ask, like, for you, how did it feel for you to be able to share your story and share about your faith in front of your fellow Ohio State students?
It was a great experience. I mean, honestly, like at first I was kind of like nervous just because like I'm not a super good like public speaker and everything, but I just kind of just like put it up to God, and like honestly, like once I was on the stage, like I didn't even feel nervous. Like it was just kind of just like I can't even. It was like kind of like just fluid, like the way like everything was just kind of going. Like I didn't even like realize like like there's so many people out in the crowd until like I stepped off the stage. I was like, man, like that crowd was actually pretty big. But so like being able to share my testimony with like Sonny and Carson and Luke, like it was actually really awesome. And like I got to better know who they are as people too, because kind of like what we were talking about before, it's so easy to just be like, oh, like this is Sonny Styles, like Block O, like he's a dog, but like you really get to see like the more like personal side of him, of like how like how his upbringing like kind of affected him, and how he's more than just like a number on the field.
Yeah, can you take me a little bit more behind the scenes, just within just the brotherhood of the guys, especially being shared in the faith? Do you guys talk about faith like a lot, like with each other and like in the locker room and in your Bible studies and stuff?
We do. And that just really shows you like how differently the guys here are. Like we constantly talk about our faith, and like it's just something that like we have asked them to pray about. Like they'll like check up on us. Like I remember one of the transfers, Bo Atkinson. Like we were talking about something like in our Bible study, and I was like, I need like prayer on this. And like like a couple of days later, he's just like, oh, like how are you doing about this? Like I've been praying for you. I'm like you don't really see that. And that just like goes to show you like how like strong the faith is here and how great the guys are up here.
That's awesome. I did want to hit on one other thing from the fall kickoff event. So one thing that's really unique about what you guys were doing was you guys were wearing the Jesus One t-shirts.
Yeah.
What does Jesus One mean to you?
Just constantly remembering that Jesus is like his work is already done. Like he already sacrificed himself for us. And just like kind of like remember that like there's nothing that we can do to earn that. Like he's already paid our debt. So it doesn't matter, how good of a football player we are. It doesn't matter like what we do, but I just like kind of constantly remembering that by his grace that we were saved. And like we can just go through life knowing that like as long as we continue to put our trust in him and continue to just share his light to those around us, that like that, like that's what we're here to do. Like we're not here to be like the best like student in the classroom or the best like player on the field, but like we're called to share his good news to the rest of the world.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, like, why do you and your teammates feel such a calling to point people towards Jesus? Because the reality is, you guys get so much attention.
Right.
You could claim it all for yourself. You could sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm the man. I'm an Ohio State football player. I'm a big deal." Because you know how it is in this town. You've probably seen it so far. Why do you feel so led to want to point people to Jesus, and rather than maybe taking it all for yourself?
Because it's really by his will. I mean, it's a gift. Like it's a God-given gift to be able to play this game, and just like every time that we play, like we're just constantly like reminding like those around us that like it's not by us, it's by him. Like he's given us the ability to do this, and like just kind of like we were talking about before about the instruments in God's choir. Like this is just our instrument, to share his greatness by just like how we play, like and like our athleticism. Because there's just so many people in this world who like wish like they could play football, and it's really a blessing. Like it's God's blessing for us to be able to play this game.
Something I'm curious about, because you talk about playing football and honoring the Lord through that.
Mm-hmm.
You play a very physical sport. You play a very physical position.
Yeah.
It comes with a lot of aggression, and it comes with, you got to be tough. You got to be physical.
Yeah.
How do you honor the Lord even through such like an aggressive sport?
That's a good question. I would just say just like how we go about things, because I mean, whenever you have God working through you, like there's a different way that you go about things, and like the way you talk, the way you act on the field. And yeah, you can still be aggressive, but just like, like there's like different levels to the aggressionness and different types of aggression. But like it's just like differently how like people who are like walking with God like act, and like you can tell. Like, I mean, I can't really explain it, but like I feel like when you're on the field, like, you can kind of like see like, oh, like this guy, he's like acting differently. He's not saying certain kinds of stuff, and like you can just kind of like notice like, oh, like that's kind of different. That's kind of interesting compared to like how like the more like the mainstream crowd would act and talk.
Yeah. So if there's like a high school athlete who's following Jesus and wants to represent Jesus well on the field, what would you say to somebody for, how they should be acting on the field, and how they should be reflecting Christ while they're playing?
I feel like God will kind of like call you to like act in a certain kind of way, because like whenever like I mean, Paul says like whenever like we're Christians, like we become like a new like creature, like we're different compared to like the way we were before. And the way that the Spirit kind of like will kind of like lead us away from the old things that we may do, and kind of like push us to do different things. So like I wouldn't say, oh, like you have to act a certain kind of way, but like you would kind of feel differently about like something like you may have done before in the past, as compared to like once you've accepted Christ into your heart.
Yeah, and so you referenced Paul. One of the ways that we can feel his convictions and have the Holy Spirit speak to us is through his word.
Yeah.
What are some of your daily practices, or what are some of the things that you do to be close to God?
So my daily routine is, as soon as I wake up, I pray, and then I make my bed, and then I have a devotion that like I'll follow through like the Bible app. And right now I'm reading the book of Job, but just like trying to just like at least like read every day and just like kind of like reflect on that. And like some days are easier than others, but like just like keeping it consistent like really helps, and just like staying in his word, and just like being able to just like truly know God, because like yes, like we can pray and everything, but like you still have to like have that time outside of prayer, like reading or like reflecting, to actually like build that relationship with God and that connection.
Yeah, and when you think about your relationship with God, what's your favorite part about it?
I feel like it's just the genuine closeness that you have. Like it's not like a whole like grand thing, like, or like you have to do something crazy to talk to him, but like it could literally just be like, you're just talking to him about your day, or like how you're feeling, and like that he's still there, he's still listening to you because he loves you, he's your father. And like I talk to him just like how like I'll talk to like my dad. And like it's just like that's just so awesome to have like a father in heaven who's created the universe and like everything around us, and you can just like talk to him about your day or like how you're feeling on like an everyday basis.
Yeah, that's so interesting too, because one thing you said there is it's actually like our earthly relationship with our Father is like a similar picture to what our relationship with our Heavenly Father is like. Obviously, a little different, but in the same in a lot of ways. That's why he's called our Father. And it's cool that the Lord's kind of had that as a picture. And also, as you talked about prayer and just talking to your Father throughout the day, some people may ask like, oh, well, why, like if he already knows, like why should I even talk to him? But it's cool kind of how it does a work on our heart, right? And so for you to just constantly be reminding yourself of how God's with you through it all, and then he's hearing all your prayers. He's walking with you throughout your day. I think that that's awesome. And I know even for me, like that's something that has always helped, knowing that he's got it all under control. And Jacob wanted me to ask this. So he said, if you could have dinner with one person from the Bible,
Ooh.
who would it be?
question. I would probably say, honestly, I'll probably just say Jesus. It's like at least like just like being able to like hear him in person would be just so amazing. Like, yeah, yeah, I feel like I'll just stick with Jesus. Yeah.
That's an easy answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will never blame anybody for answering with Jesus as being somebody to grab dinner with. That's great. Yeah. And a little bit of a football question here, just because I am a little curious. Going from Rice to then going to one of the top programs in college football, from non-power 5, non-power 4 to power 4. What's the biggest difference there?
I always just say kind of like the intensity and like the speed of everything. Like the guys here are, they're physical, they're athletic, and like I could easily tell because like whenever I came in, I was just like wondering like what makes like the guys that I went against like at Rice so different from the guys here, and then like we went to like the off season with like the strength staff. I was like, okay, like now I see why. But yeah, like the guys here are just like so much more athletic, and then also I guess like the intensity of the culture. I feel like it's kind of like a culture like where like you can't take a day off. It's not like, oh, like you can just like slack off and be fine, or like you can just like rely solely on like your talent, but like you have to put in that hard work every single day. Like during the summer, like we're reading a book called Chop Wood, Carry Water, and like just like talking about like that kind of like discipline we have to bring to our sport every day to be great. And I feel like you really see that in like how the guys practice here, how the guys work here, and it's really helped me, be better for sure.
That's great, and I'm sure it's really cool to see how you are just pushing yourself to become a better and better, just a little bit better every single day. What are your goals, just in life? Either if it could be goals for this year, and then also just into the future.
So honestly, like my goals every day are just to be better than the day before. Like whether it's like from an academic standpoint or athletic standpoint, and just like continue to like rely on God and like letting His light shine through me. Like my biggest thing is just like I always just want to be able to like, oh, like if someone's like walking down the street or someone's talking to me, they're like, oh, like why is this guy so different? Like what makes him different from like the other guy? And like let that be like, oh, like it's because God is in me, and like just like letting God's light and like letting God's love just kind of like show through like my actions and how I speak.
It's great. I got a couple more questions here.
Okay.
One is just a fun one because I want people to know a little bit more about you.
Okay.
Outside of the field, what are some of Ethan's hobbies? What does he like to do?
I like reading books. Like I kind of like the Stephen King novels. And then like also like some like more like educational stuff too. I mean, I also like playing video games. I feel like a lot of people like a lot of guys my age like playing video games. And then like I've been slowly kind of getting into movies. I've started the Star Wars like saga. Like I've never watched it before. So hopefully, like I'll actually enjoy it. I've heard a lot of things about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there one book that you would recommend people to read? Let's say outside of the Holy Bible.
Okay, outside of the Bible, I would recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear. Like it's like a really good book about just like how like developing habits and breaking bad habits, and that kind of really helped me kind of just like hone into like, oh, like how I go about my day really matters in like the grand aspect of things. Where like if I'm doing like a bad habit, like continuously doing that is just gonna like lead to negative results. And like you have to chase the goal of like being like 1% better every day, because that kind of like leads to like exponential growth and progress.
That's good.
Yeah.
And as we land the plane on this episode, there might be somebody watching this that's just like, man, like I'm encouraged by this. I want to, I want to be more intentional about my faith walk. I want to know this Jesus guy. Just what encouragement would you give somebody?
That it's never too late or it's never too hard. Because I feel like sometimes it's like, oh, like you've done so many bad things that like can't really just like turn around and be like, oh, like me and Jesus, like let's start talking, or like, oh, like like you weren't raised as a Christian, but like Like God, like he assesses everyone. I mean, you know, like kind of like what that parable says about leaving the 99 for the one. Like he's actively chasing you, and like just like all those kind of like doubts that you may have are really just kind of like things to try to take you away from God. But like God is always like he's ready. Has open arms, like ready to accept you, and just like kind of like remembering that like it's never too late. It's never too hard.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, Ethan, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Thank you for your yes to sharing your story, man. I know people are going to be really encouraged by it. And may the Lord bless you, man, you and your future.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Like, this has been a really awesome thing to do. And just like knowing that like a lot of my other teammates do it too is really cool. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for this.
If you were moved by this podcast, we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment down below, message us on Instagram or Facebook, or even email us at info@thewalkfoundation.org. If you're in Ohio and looking for a church, Rock City would love to welcome you to one of their 9 or 11 a.m. services. And if you're interested, please click the link below in the description to learn more about Rock City Church. And thanks again to our sponsors, Emily Tapman with the Firm Foundation Company and Jeremy Fraze with Union Home Mortgage.